Hello there, welcome back. This is the lists. More lists. Look at this, lists. And I'm keeping the background. The reason why, these are the... It's going to be a two-parter. No, not two parts in two videos. It's going to be split into two parts within the video. It's going to start with the films I hate, and then it goes to the films I love. So I'm starting with the dark background for the films I hate, because I thought a lot of videos just do what they hate and that's it, and I think it's very depressing, very kind of dull. But the reason why I do the films I hate is just like, I want to talk about the impression they had on me, because the things that make you mad are important. These are the films that made me mad. Some of them I've changed my mind on to a degree. None of them I think are good, but there's some I've changed my mind on, but I became interested in the disaster of them. There's other ones I still can't stand. But they made me mad. I felt like real rage with every one of these films. I really hated the experience of first seeing them. I really would rant about them to anyone who would unfortunately have to listen to me. I really was like the most annoying bugger when it came to these films. So I hope you enjoy this. This is the films that I hated. Well, the first one was easy. This is my least favourite film like ever. This is my hated film. I actually own it in Blu-ray because I think you should own your most hated film. Even if you're never going to watch it, it's good that you own it. So you can say, this is the thing I hate most, this fucking movie. So it's Island of Death. Island of Death is my most hated movie. It is terrible. I'm going to do a video about how much I hate it, you know. But it is a couple kill all these other people on this island for no good reason. It's just a bunch of murder scenes with a really tacky ending where you find out the couples are actually brother and sister and they commit incest. It's amazingly tacky. There's no redeeming features. It's a terrible movie. I think it's so nihilistic is what I really hate about it. It's so stupid, so grimy. You feel you need to take 20 baths after you've seen it. And it's not in a good way. There's no real reason for it. It's just like life's horrible. That's what this film promotes. This is a disgusting film. I hate it with every inch of my being. It's awful. Now the next one is maybe even a worse sin. It's the shitty remake of the film you love. Right, because so the one film is going to be in both lists. You know, the original is in the love list and the remake's in this list, and the remake is Assault on Precinct 13. The one with Ethan Hawke, Lawrence Fishburne, and a lot of other good actors who I'm not sure they even knew the original, because this is objectively it's not a terrible film, it's just a boring film, but it's a remake of a wonderful film, and that's why I hate it. It's a despicable remake of a great film because it's a remake and it doesn't do anything new with it. It just allows itself to be boring, and that's the worst possible thing you can do. Be boring. That's the worst when you're doing a remake of a Burt Brown film. And they've even been one of my favourite films, so that film should burn in hell. And I'm still mad about it, like 15 years later. So next one is I've covered it in another video, as I don't like Woody Allen, and most Woody Allen films I remember hating. I just find them boring. It's not even just personal life, which is very controversial. I'm not going into details what I believe and what I don't believe, but just the film themselves are boring mostly. There was a few in the 70s that were fine, there's a few in the 80s that were fine, but most of them are just so tedious, they're so badly shot. They can barely move the camera and all the dialogue sounds the same, and you get one good joke every like 15 minutes and the rest are just people blabbering on and quoting things I've heard before, and there's no characters, it's all like the same guy talking to himself every bloody movie. I hate his movies. They're movies for people who think they're smart but they're really stupid. I might as well say that, kids. I might as well insult as many Woody Allen fans as I can, because I want to keep insulting Woody Allen. I can't stand him. I'm happy to not be able to stand him. This is not the last cheap Woody Allen joke in any of my videos. Okay, next one is Spawn. It's getting remade by good actors. I mean, they've got Jeremy Renner and Jamie Foxx in the remake. The remake is coming out soon. I'm hoping it's good, but the thing is, it can't possibly be worse than the original version. So Michael Jai White is Spawn, and he's been in films I've liked in the direct to DVD market in the noughties and the last few recent years. I mean, he's in Undisputed 2, he was in Blood and Bone. He's been in comedies. I like the guy, he's really good. This is when he still hadn't learned to act. But he made the most terrible dialogue. Martin Sheen's in it, he has terrible dialogue. Everyone in it has terrible dialogue. Everyone speaks as if they can't speak the English language. No one says anything human. It's so boring. There's tons of CGI but nothing happens. John Leguizamo is this character called a clown, and everything he says is horrible. It's the most tedious movie. I mean, the phrase I hate it is it's so boring, and it goes on and on. It's like 90 minutes long, it feels like 5 hours long. It keeps repeating the same shots. You can't follow the plot because you're so bored. It's not like it's complicated, you just can't take in anything you're seeing because you're so bored. You just want the pain to end. It's another film I hate that I own because I want to look at it and hate it and say I'm not watching you, but you know. I think it's important to really kind of own what you hate. The next one is Lady in the Water. It's almost like, which M. Night Shyamalan film should I choose? But this one is the worst one. I mean, there's some of his that I love because they're so bad, like The Happening. Happening is wonderfully terrible. This one's awful. This one is basically a character having to protect him because a character played by M. Night Shyamalan, because this guy's going to write a great masterpiece that's going to bring humanity to the next golden age. That's the plot. He's saying he's a genius in a film, and no one told him, don't cast yourself. And despite that, there's also, that's the least offensive part of the film. There's also like a mermaid who's in the plot for no reason. It's get a whiny lead character, Paul Giamatti, in his only bad performance. He's boring as hell in this film, and he's normally good, even in trash. I mean, he was good in Paycheck, and it was trash. In this one, he gets defeated. Bryce Dallas Howard plays the mermaid. She is defeated as well. She can't do anything with this terrible part. It's awful. It's just so, I get so bored. The thing about these films is they're all boring as hell. The thing I can't stand in films is like you're throwing all this stuff at the screen and none of it's landing because there's no plot. There's no nothing that's actually has any human connection. It's just things thrown at the screen hoping something sticks. In this one, the ego just oozes out every pore of the film. You can just sense this guy thinks he's making the most brilliant film ever. This is the greatest. And it's terrible. This is the great egotistical film. This is the film they should look at for, oh my god, this guy had an ego. This is just, oh, it's a whiffer. Right, next is the most obvious one on the list actually, Battlefield Earth. Now, I'm a connoisseur of bad films. I love bad films. Bad films are my favourite. They're wonderful. But this one, you know, tedium. Just tedium. Every moment is torture. Every angle is dutched, which is the camera's tilted. And they tilt camera. People are running for no real reason, but the camera's tilted. No one's got a part, everyone's just played these types. And that's not the worst of it. That was, I just said it's a bad film. But it's genuinely stupid in every possible way. It ends with, it's set 1,000 years from now, and it ends with them taking old fighter jets and attacking the aliens. These fighter jets that haven't been used for 1,000 years, or maybe hundreds of years, can't remember the amount of time. But it's at the point where they would all have collapsed and been unusable a long time before. And how would you learn how to pilot these things? And that's the ending. And John Travolta was horrific in this film as a villain. He's just, it's a terrible film. It's not even so bad as good, it's just bad. And it's one of those films that's like all these in the list, it's so depressing to watch. You just feel your life slowly end watching this film. It just feels like this feels like I've lost years of my life watching this thing. This is just, I'm losing the will to live. I'm losing the will to be even breathe. You know, watching this, it's so terrible. Okay, the next one is Oliver Stone's Heaven and Earth. Now there's a big competition for Oliver Stone films that are bad. This is not the only one on the list. But this was the first really bad one he made. And it's based on a woman who lived in Vietnam and her experiences in Vietnam, then moved to America. And all it proves is Oliver Stone does not understand women or Asian people. Like, he just sees them as figures that are like porcelain. He doesn't see them as people. It's just like, it's insulting how patronising this film is. It's also really slow. But the reason it feels really slow is he doesn't understand any of the characters. They're just these mouthpieces for, these dull, whatever the hell they're saying. Because no human being would say much of this stuff. It's the most horrendous film. I remember when I saw it in the cinema and I was just crawling out of that cinema. It was just so bad. I mean, it's really bad. So I might as well go to the other Oliver Stone one, Alexander. Now, Alexander is in the list, right? But it's in my other part of my list of which we're now going into, is the films that are terrible, that I'm bizarrely obsessed by. They are objectively some of the worst films ever made, right? And there's 2 Val Kilmer films in there. So there you go. But they're wonderful to rewatch because they're so terrible. But when I saw them, the first time I saw them, I hated them with a total passion. And only because I was so curious why I hated them did I rewatch them. And when I rewatched them, I became obsessed by them. I mean, quite a few of these films I've seen twice just to check they were as bad as I thought. And a lot of them were. But some of these other ones, these are enjoyable because of how bad they are. These are batshit, but first time you watch them you think you're going insane because of how bad they are. Then you watch them again and they're fun because they're so bizarre. I mean, Alexander has, anytime Anthony Hopkins on, he's just tuning the scenery and saying the most bizarre bollocks ever. I think Christopher Plummer's in it as well, speaking bollocks. Val Kilmer's tuning the scenery, he knows he's in a total stinker and he's having fun. Colin Farrell's stuck in this bizarre movie that he's miscast in, but he's trying the whole way through the movie. He's bizarrely likeable, trying his best to survive this awful thing. Angelina Jolie's in it, she's terrible as a mother. She's Colin Farrell's mother and she looks like she's 2 years older than him. And she's awful in it, she's just awful. The whole film is awful, but the whole film is, watch it, it's just camp as hell watched it the second time round, but you actually got to the point where you realise, okay, this is pasteless, this is stupid, but there's something bizarrely lovable about how bad it is, how insane it is. It's sort of like what happened, they gave Ed Wood a lot of money to make a film, it would be Alexander by Oliver Stone. It's that kind of bad. It's just wonderful. Then there's Speed 2. Speed 2, when I first saw it, I really hated it because it's tedious, it's so boring. I mean, nothing happens. A lot of stuff happens, but nothing interesting happens. But we actually see it in small bits of certain sequences. You're like, that almost could have worked if they re-edited it a little bit. That almost could have worked. The thing that destroys it is the main plot line is so boring that you lose all will to actually engage in any sequence. So there's a bit where Jason Patrick's underwater. There's actually a well put together idea. We has to go and put something out into the rotor to slow the boat down. That should have been terrifying. Doesn't work because you're so sick of the film at that point. There's a bit where the boat rams into this island, which is the end of Incredibles 2 as well, by the way. Should have worked, but it goes on for like 20 minutes and you're bored to tears watching it. I mean, this film needed to lose half an hour instantly. There's a whole bunch of sequences where Jason Patrick is chasing Willem Dafoe around a boat. There's all these bombs going off and things. Should have been great. You didn't have a clue where the hell you were most of the time. And this whole movie, you never know why you're watching something. You know in theory why you're watching it, but you're watching it going, oh, it's just kind of boring. What the hell? Where are we going? Where are we in the boat again? And there's other scenes where the camera goes through the boat and has lots of scenes that are meant to be building tension, but they're not, because you're like, what's he doing? Oh, he's doing that, that's boring. But why did I need to see that? You could have just had a computer graphic later on said, he's put bombs here. And it would have been just as effective, if not more. Because there's all this setup of where these bombs are, and if they'd actually had not told you where most of them were, it'd probably work better. So it's a movie that was, oh, it's awful. But I'm bizarrely obsessed with that one. I don't know why, I really wish I knew why, because it's terrible. But I've seen it a few times. I don't know why I'm obsessed with that one, because it's objectively awful. It's more fun awful than The Haunting, which is John Watt's next film that is just dull awful. And I have no defence with the Speed 2 thing, sorry. Now you know what you're dealing with, someone who's bizarrely obsessed with Speed 2, even though you know he's terrible. Okay, the next one is, I actually just realised there's 3 Val Kilmer films in this list. Wow. Okay, I'll just go through the non-Val Kilmer films and go back to the rest of the Val Kilmer films, that's probably better. Okay, next one's Alien Resurrection. It is awful, it killed the Alien franchise. Nothing, they say that Alien vs Predator killed them, but this one killed it. This one is dull as hell. It's got lots of nice creatures, but they're running around this ship where nothing happens. You know, and the whole thing's lit more darkly than this video. And it's just boring, it's just so tedious, and the script's so dull. And the only good character is Michael Wincott, he dies halfway through the film. Okay, that's the spoiler, Michael Wincott dies, he's the only good character in the film, so when he dies, stop watching the film, because your only enjoyment out of it is there. Even Ron Perlman, and Ron Perlman's boring in this film. You know how hard it is to have Ron Perlman be boring in a big budget action movie? It's almost impossible, but this film somehow did it. And Sigourney Weaver looks bored, and Winona Ryder is her worst performance ever, even worse than Dracula. You know, she's, for some reason she's good at a lot of stuff, but when she does a big budget horror thing, it never works out. She should stay away from horror movies. Okay, the other non-Val Kilmer film is Highlander 2, The Quickening. Now, I kind of thought that Alien Resurrection was going to be crap before I saw it. I saw a few reviews telling me it was going to be crap, right? And I didn't really need to see it, so even though it was much worse than I expected, I hated it every minute of it. There was some part of me expecting it to be bad. This film I knew was going to be bad before I saw it as well. But because I was a big fan of the first one, I was like, that's what I felt like watching that film. It's, and now I kind of love it. The same way as I love Speed 2. But I have seen the director's version, the Renegade cut, which is actually better. They put some stuff back in it, and still things make more sense. It still doesn't make the film good in any possible way. It just makes it even more bonkers and enjoyable. And Sean Connery is so bad in this film. He should never be in the film. He appears and he disappears for no good reason. The film would have made the same amount of sense, or that's the right word for Highlander 2, without Sean Connery, just because they needed him for the money. But it's bloody awful, but it's a good kind of awful. But I really hated the first time I saw it. I was in a bad mood for years whenever everyone mentioned that film. After I first saw it, it was like, fuck that movie. But then I saw it again and I was like, oh, this is a good kind of bad movie. This is a fun movie. But I did hate it the first time I saw it. Okay, these are the final 2 Val Kilmer films, and then we'll go on to the good stuff. Island of Dr. Moreau. Now, I'm not sure if anyone on Netflix may have seen the making of this one, because the first director to get fired was Richard Stanley, who's an interesting director. Then John Frankenheimer, who is a director I love. He was hired and he had to deal with Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer, both of who seem to have, according to this documentary, according to a lot of sources, went off the deep end in this film. And Frankenheimer hated them, and according to David Thewlis, everyone hated Frankenheimer as well. Or one interview I read of David Thewlis, like, apparently everyone hated each other, and they were ready to kill each other, and it was a disaster in every possible way. It was just awful. And no matter how bad you hear this film is, right, no matter how bad it is, it doesn't prepare you for how bad the film is. Because this film is terrible. I mean, the first half I was thinking, this isn't as bad as I heard. And then it goes on, and then you start to lose the will to live watching it. You lose, you're really, it is almost the same level for me as, you know, Island of Death, you know, for that kind of spawn, for that kind of, oh my god. But I bizarrely love it because it's so bad. This is one of the ones that is so terrible. I've only ever seen it once, but I love the memory of it. I don't know why I would want to watch it again, but I love the memory of watching and hating it so bad. That's the one I love to hate, but don't ever make me watch it again. Okay, and then finally, we have Batman Forever. Now, most people would say Batman and Robin must be the worst one. Surely. And objectively, yes. But this is the one that was made after Tim Burton left the series. He's still viewed as a producer on this film, even though we know he wasn't. His name's attached. He's not the producer. But, you know, they threw away everything he did, all the characterization, all the mood. Turned on, the lights were on, the lights were everywhere, and it was campy as hell. And you had Tommy Lee Jones doing God knows what, Jim Carrey trying his best, but he's okay Riddler, but he's not great. Val Kilmer's could have been a good Batman for a better director. The rest of the cast is crap. And the whole thing is dispiriting. This one I really left hating because it just flushed the Tim Burton stuff down the toilet. And you had to wait years before it ever went back to the way it was. Thank God with the animated series to rely on to get us through those horrible times. But yeah, that's the worst. I don't want to get into too much detail about Batman Forever because I've already done a video on it. I don't want to rant forever. But I'm now going to go to the best of more light. Okay, right, these are the best ones. These are the fun ones. So I have more light here. Right, I'm probably not going to say as much because these are so much fun. I'll just say this is great, this is wonderful. But I felt after going through that list of horrors, I owe people, you know, some beauty in the world. Right, okay, obviously I saw Precinct 13, the original, was beautiful. That's one of those films, like all of these films I would say are the films I go to when, these are films I go to when I'm feeling down, I need something that'll get me through the next, it's to get me through when life's down, when you've seen so much crap, you need something to get you going again, you need something to make you feel like you're a human being after the filth of the world has descended on you. So these are the films that I go to and it's like, fine, yeah, human beings are worth it. So I saw Precinct 13, I've seen this, I watch this every year or two. I try not to overwatch it because I want to watch it and still be surprised, catch little things, and not be able to wrote every line, even though I know most of the lines by now. It's just, you could just sit back and watch and just enjoy. And especially when the characters start to come together and you see the interactions, they're all great fun. And they're played by actors who you've seen one or two things, but that's it. And you'll never really hear from them again, but it's still wonderful because this is the big chance, and the film itself is so good. It's like, well, if you're not going to have a big career, it's better to at least have one classic on your CV. And that's what this is. This is a classic. This is beautiful. Okay, that's that. There's the right stuff. Philip Kaufman's story about, you know, the Apollo program. Anyone who saw my video on For All Mankind will know I'm a bit of a space nut. And if you haven't seen it yet, please go watch it because it's one of my favourites I've done. Even though I make a quite embarrassing error. So that's another reason to watch it. But it's brilliant. Great cast. Everyone's perfectly cast. Everyone has a point to their character. But it always moves from character to character with real smoothness. So you always feel you're in the story. And every character is very distinct. And it moves throughout the whole of the 60s without you feeling like you've been told information. That's probably a lot of films you feel like you've been told information rather than told a story. This is the story of these people. They don't know they're in a historical fact, they're just having their lives. And that's the tone of the film. There's a mocking of the Apollo program, there's also a ladization of the test pilots and how brave it actually is to do this, how scary it is. So it shows the glory of what they do, but also the fear of what happens there. It's a wonderful film, but it's almost indescribable. You have to watch and see and feel the emotions of the whole movie. You really need to not know that much about it to go and see this film, because it's amazing. It's an amazing film. Okay, next is Excalibur. Excalibur, I haven't done a video on yet, but I will. John Boorman, I love John Boorman, he's brilliant. This is one of his best movies. King Arthur, I love King Arthur myths. Even though there's been a lot of bad films about King Arthur, there was only really 3 good ones. And all came out within a few years of each other, which is Excalibur, Lancelot de Lac, and Holy Grail. And the rest, I mean, Sword and Stone's fine, but most of them are terrible. Even the ones I like, you know, are terrible. I tend to like King Arthur movies even when they're bad, you know, but because I'm a sucker for King Arthur movies. But these are the good ones. But Excalibur especially, Excalibur has moments of real myth making. You really sense that you've got the original, the early parts with Uther, as he proves himself not to be king, then Arthur becomes king. And in those moments when he puts the sword from the stone, and you see his travels through life, and how he's great and how he fails as a person, and there's just tons of beautiful moments. It's a wonderful film. It's a film to watch when you really need a sense of something greater than yourself, that life's more mysterious, more interesting than what you'll ever see. That's what this film does beautifully. It's that one film, you know, defense of John Boorman's entire career. Because he's done some other great films, but this is the one for me. Even though there's other great films I love. There's Having to Have Not. I mean, there's lots of Howard Hawks movies I could have done, but this one's not brought up much. And I love this film. It's one of my favourite films. It's wonderful. And what's good about it is not that important. It's just a nice little character piece. The characters do their thing. No one's trying to win an Oscar. No one's trying to make the biggest hit ever. They're just characters who are hanging out and who are enjoying themselves with each other. And that's good enough. And it's a film that, it's good the first time, but it's great the third or fourth time as you get really used to the characters, and it's just a nice film to sit back and enjoy, and just enjoy these characters, how they interact, and it's wonderful. But it's a real, it's kind of like that Big Lebowski feel of, yeah, it's good when you first see it, but it's great in repeat. It's just the way, the atmosphere of it, it's an atmosphere film. Okay, next one I probably brought up in my last video, it's The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. Phil Pressburger. This is beautiful. Again, it's another one when I need something, this is one of the films I watch. It's just stunning. It's so moving. The end is so sad. And all the incidents that happen through his life they're wonderfully funny in a kind of affectionate way. They're also showing you a sign of a life that's slowly falling apart, and it's not living up to what the original ambitions of the guy was. I mean, it's kind about it, it's not sneering in any way, and it's great about how sad life can be, and how emotional life can be, and how emotional friendship is, and how it's needed, and how you have to also pass on to the next generation and give them the good values of your time and not the bad stuff. So it's a wonderful film. It's just so beautifully written and so beautifully directed. I mean, it's my favourite of the Phil Pressburgers. Okay, next, I need to read this list, not for any reason, just to try and organise it. Really, it's Heart of Glass, Werner Herzog. Again, it's a Herzog I could see a lot of films. This one really gets me because it's more mythic than normal. Herzog tends to, he does big subjects, but they tend to be humans against an oppressive life force, and they're rebelling against something, even if it's irrational what they're rebelling against, it's always something. This one feels more mythic, and it's harder to place what it's about, but there's just this weird emotional undertow to it, and the whole idea of the end of the world, which is something Herzog doesn't really do very often. You have to show the end of the characters, and this is much more the characters believing the end of the world's coming. It's just wonderful. Again, I urge you to see it. I mean, apparently a lot of the actors were hypnotised for the film. That's the rumour. And there is a weirdness to the acting, so with Herzog you never tell if it's bullshit or not. Okay, next, The Killer, John Woo's The Killer. These are a bit more serious, but this one I thought, yeah, sometimes it's good to have some fun. And well, everyone says Die Hard. Die Hard's another one, but The Killer is just, I think it's been underrated recently, because I think Asian cinema now is big. It used to be these little spots of people coming from Asia and having an influence, and John Woo was one of them. Now I think it's a bit more accepted in general society. There's a lot of good Asian films. So the wave of John Woo has been kind of forgotten except for people my age. It's a shame because this film is great. It's just so much fun. It's so madly paced. The whole film is a melodrama. It's completely crazy, but it's wonderful. Everyone yells people's names. Everyone reacts as if they're in an opera. And it's great. And every action scene's like an opera where it just goes to the moon at every possible moment. And then it suddenly steps to a little character moment and then it goes crazy again. The character moments always land, which is something that Wu lost when he went to America. He couldn't go as high as he wanted to, so that then he pulled back. He just went kind of mizzling up then. It's only a face-off where he managed to go as crazy because they gave him Nicolas Cage. You know, that guy will go to the moon. He needed more actors like that in America. He needed budgets that would let him blow up a lot more shit up. But The Killer was amazing. Okay, and the next one, The Thin Red Line. Thin Red Line is another film I love. Another film it's great just to sit back and enjoy and watch it. I mean, it's all based on a horrific subject, but all the thing that Malik does with the kind of the thoughts of the characters, and you see them just float through life and float through this horrible situation, and they're trying their best to get through it. And it's difficult as hell. So it's, you know, it's a wonderful film, and it's hard to explain though. It's one of those films that are very difficult to explain. There's a weird tone to it that's, it's very Malik, but it's not Malik the way he is now. It's Malik then where it was more tied to the world because they were in a war and they were having these free-floating thoughts, and it's how do you exist in a war? Do you become human? Do you become inhuman? Like, what do you do? So it's tied to something that's very finite, so it gives it a extra edge that I think for some viewers lacks in some of the other Malik films. It's not for me, but the war gives it a weird tie to like mortality that some of the other films, immortality becomes a main point of the film. So it's a wonderful film. I don't want to go too much about it because I'll probably do a video on it at some point. Like most of these films I'll probably do a video on it at some point. This almost a preview at the moment. I'm sure some of the hated ones I'll do videos on too. Okay, next is Sunrise. It's one of those ones where you feel like, well, what I didn't say about this. It's just great. It's a love story, but a guy loses love with his wife. He almost kills her. Then he changes his mind and ends up going to the city and having a wonderful time. Sounds dull, doesn't it? But it's beautiful. Everything's beautiful in it. I mean, the new Blu-ray from Eureka Master Cinema is great. It's just one to see. It's one to experience. And that's what's great about it. You put it on, you experience it. There's no... You can analyse it a bit. It's one of those films that's about the experience. It's not about overthinking it and all that shit. It's just about experiencing something unique. This next one's the same. Bride of Frankenstein. Bride of Frankenstein is... It's funny as hell. But I try to explain it. It's like a fairy story about Frankenstein. The Frankenstein monster. Where the Frankenstein monster falls in love and gets in with this creepy old scientist who makes these midget creatures. It sounds mad. You know, it is mad, it's completely mad. But it's wonderful, just the atmosphere is wonderful. It's like one of a kind, it's something like you only do once in a career. Even James Whale, who was famously, you know, nuts as a director, like, it was subject matter, not in person, just the subject matter, the things he put on screen. But even this one was way further than we normally went. This was just beautiful. Again, it's just what you see, just see it, you know. If you see any horror movie from the 30s, make it Bride of Frankenstein. You don't need to have seen any other films, just see this one. Okay, next one is Barry Lyndon. This is my Kubrick one for the selection. You know, you could go 2001 or Doctor Strangelove, The Shining, but Barry Lyndon's the one no one sees, and it's a great one because, yeah, it's beautiful, but the pacing's wonderful because you're going through a life. It's sort of like It resembles Colonel Blimp in some ways, and this idea of a life that's tragic and has lots of rise and falls quite a bit. But it's very different, it's much more stylised than Colonel Blimp. It's less obviously human, it's less sentimental about the characters. In this one it's looked upon as if these are the foibles of these characters, but even then it still has humanity for the characters. It still feels something for them. It still senses the tragedy, even though Barry is an idiot half the time. He just screws everything up. A lot of what happens to him is his own damn fault, but you still really feel sympathy for him and what happens to all the people around him, because it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful film. It should have been really well received when it was released, but it wasn't. It was just people were snobbing about Kubrick because this was him going too far by trying to be classy. Now it bombed, and now it's beautiful. There you go. Don't listen to critics, or even online critics like me. Or if I'm a critic, or if I'm just a guy talking crap. Who knows? Next, Dr. Mabuse. Fritz Lang's crazy 3-hour opus about a mad criminal who changes his face a lot and wears lots of disguises, and he's trying to destroy German society and eventually goes crazy. That's it. It's a melodrama. It's a crazy movie. Obviously I've gone a bit too far now, but it is crazy. It's just genuinely fun though. It's just a wonderfully fun film. I would definitely recommend it. It's a difficult one to talk about because it takes place over a long time. It is just pure melodrama, but such style to it. It goes along at 100 miles an hour, so it doesn't feel its length. It just feels like it's a very quick paced film. It's what action movies should be, and most of them aren't, because most of them are being with dull people. This one really delivers. Okay, and the final one is Slacker, Richard Linklater's The Slacker. There's a really good Criterion version of this. I've got the DVD version. We also get his first film, which was How Not to Use a Plough or something, which is also terrific. It's very formless. He goes from person to person through Austin, Texas, through a day, and you see lots of these other characters. So there's no plot, it's just the characters, how society, different people are in society for a single day that you never see, you never know. And it's just wonderful, it's just experience. I think that's what puts people off a bit Linklater, is his stuff's experiential, it's not, it's hard to talk about because it's not about something that's almost literary, where you can say these are the themes, these are this is obvious, this character's doing this. This is his stuff rejects that a little bit. There are themes, but they're not so obvious. So it's even later in his career where he doesn't, even with Boyhood, which takes place over 12 years. There are themes throughout it, but it's about the curiosity of life and how things can get put down into a simple, easy to follow set of rules. And that's my list. I hope it didn't get too boring. I'll be back soon for some other videos. Next one is the De Palma series, which will be Femme Fatale.